Good day, people of the internet. My name is Dog, and this is Mad Theories. This is where we speculate on Guild Wars 2 content, or I just propose some crazy theory I've come up with. So, we're going to be discussing the Revenant. For those who do not know what the Revenant is a heavy armor profession that will be new to Guild Wars 2 coming Heart of Thorns. It channels legends from the mists and releases chaos onto the field, channeling heroes of old. Something like that. That's the best way I can articulate it. It uses one weapon. The weapons we do know it's going to be able to use are hammer, mace, and axe. There are ideas around that we will be able to use weapons such as the staff for melee, and possibly a sword and dagger, but those three are not confirmed. It's just in speculation videos so far. Well, it's just in speculation for right now. The Revenant is going to be using an energy bar, like kind of like how the Thief does for initiative, and it will be using the energy to use skills, and the bar will slowly regenerate over time, about 5% every second, I think is what the by default it is. Certain skills you use will cause regeneration on your energy bar, meaning that over time, a skill might take 7% every second, so that skill will stay up as long as you have enough energy to support it, or until you toggle it off. The Revenant gets 2 legends to channel at a time for combat, and you get 50% energy every time you pop up your new legend. So in the middle of combat, if your one legend is almost depleted, you can pop into the other one to get 50% more energy. Your legend affects all your skills on the right side of your skill bar, so your heal, your utility, and your elite skill. When you go into certain legends, your skill bar will have an effect around it, similar to how the Guardian has that blue fire effect when their Virtue of Justice is ready to inflict fire damage to everyone. And skills for the Revenant on their weapons are going to be more direction. Well, skills in Heart of Thorns are going to be more direction-oriented. For the Revenant, we have the Axe and Mace skills. They both have directional abilities. The Mace's auto-attack, on the 3rd stage of it, you will hit the ground, deal a line of damage in front of you, and it will damage your first enemy, and then there's enemies behind it, it will damage those behind it, so it's going to be very directional. The Axe has a similar one for when it's offhand. The 4 or 5 skill will make a rift in the sky, well, near the ground, but in the sky. And over time, it will stay, and then it will collapse, bringing enemies around you into the rift. So that it's very directional. You have to be aware of which way you're facing. I'm suspecting it's only going to be directed at the faces of the rift, not the, endpoints are not going to be pulling anyone in that direction. For the legends, all we know for legends so far is we can be Jawless Ironhammer and Malix the Unyielding. Jawless, as far as we know, is a frontline fighter who will be tanking, and Malix the Unyielding is going to be a kind of control condition damage person. So you can manipulate the conditions on your allies, bring them to yourself, and then dish them out to all the enemies. And there's something about the more conditions you have on yourself, the more damage you'll be able to output, but that might only be when you're in a when you use your elite skill as Malix. To the theories I've come up with. What we know so far is the Revenant can only channel these heroes or legends from the past if they are in the mists, which means they're dead. So for Jawless Ironhammer, this raises the question, is he dead? The last known location of Jawless is he's in the depths of Tyria fighting the destroyers, so he's either dead, or when he underwent the Rite of the Dwarf, him and all of his people died. And in essence, it's a symbolic death, and that's why we can channel him. And we have this quote from Colin during the PAX South Panel. When channeling King Jawless, the power and abilities of the great dwarves of years past will become available to the Revenant. So that sounds like if as Jawless we can channel all the abilities of dwarves, when we're channeling Malix we can probably do the same thing but with Marganites, but that's just a speculation. I'm suspecting, at minimum, we're getting 4 different legends. Very minimum 4. If we have more than 4, say 6 or 8, does that mean we have to go out into the world and gather these legends like we gather pets for rangers? Just an idea, but if it's only 4, I don't think we're going to have to go out and gather these legends, but some ideas I had for different roles that the legends could be are you'd need a tank legend, a support legend, a Condi DPS legend, and a power DPS. This is just what I initially came up with. But if we had more than 4 legends, I would have to say you could have more variety of roles like a straight-up tank, a tank support, a Condi support, a Condi power, or a stealth, or anything else. And onto that idea of stealth, we currently have Mesmers, which use light armor, and Thieves, who use medium armor. They're able to apply stealth for your whole party. Is the Revenant going to be able to apply stealth for your whole party, being able to channel some stealthy legend? Just an idea. I'll go into which legends I think could do that in just a moment. For legends, I don't think we're going to have one that is a minion master, because you already have Guardian who can summon up a couple minions. You got the Necromancer's minions, the Mesmer's minions, the Ranger's minions. We just have all these classes already that have so many minions. Moving on to cooldowns, since the Revenant is using energy for its skills, similar to how the Thief uses initiative, the skills are either going to have a low cooldown or no cooldown at all. But when switching between your legends, there will be a cooldown, and possibly a longer channel than you have to do for the Elementalist. It's not going to be like an instant switch over, you have to channel it for a bit, then you switch over, and then the cooldown to switch back, I'm suspecting is going to be maybe 10 seconds, or as long as you swap between weapons with any other class. And one thing that someone made apparent to me was, as we can see at the skill bar, when you switch in between the 2 legends, the skills switch. So, are these the same skills with different effects? Or every time you switch to a different legend, you get a totally different skill bar, like if you were to go underwater? Just an idea, I'm not quite sure how that would work. Now, to some of the legends I'm speculating, I'll start with the ones I don't think we're going to have. Any henchmen from Guild Wars 1, I don't think are going to be legends. Heroes are up to anyone to guess, I'm not quite sure on those. Some of them are possible, some of them I don't think would work. Now, one I've heard that I don't think is going to be possible because of my idea of no minion masters is someone speculated Master Togo to be a possible legend, but if we aren't going to have minion masters, I don't think we're going to have Master Togo as a legend to channel. If we did, he would be a minion master, he would be able to control some minions and support your friends. Some legends I do think we can possibly be. One thing I've been hearing is Glint. We even have an image called Glint Elite Teaser. This is either an image of an elite that is Dwarven related because of the color scheme, and if we're channeling all of Dwarf culture, that means it's going to be channeling the Cult of the Dragons, which worshipped Glint, so that could be a Dwarven elite, or we're channeling Glint herself. Possible idea. 2 of the stealth legends I thought of was Shiro Tagachi and Vizu. I thought of Shiro Tagachi, and a guildie thought of Vizu being a channel. I feel like Shiro is a more possible channel than Vizu, because Vizu's only in the story for a little bit. Shiro Tagachi, we see him throughout Guild Wars, factions, and Nightfall. Well, a bit of Nightfall. So I think possibly Shiro is an idea of like a fast DPS and high sustain because of his Condi cleansing he was able to do in Guild Wars 1. And even in the trailer, we see Ritlock do this ability of bouncing between 3 enemies, dealing damage, and either being invisible or immune to damage for a short time. This could be Ritlock channeling Shiro. Just an idea I had, and we'll see where it goes from there. One possible DPS legend you could have is Churai Asa, or the Forgotten Hero. Churai Asa was a very big human who we'd probably be able to do a lot of DPS with, some powerful attacks. Just an idea. Another character I thought we could possibly do is Varesh, and that would go more into like the Marganite area where we have with Malix. It would just be an interesting combination of doing AoE damage and control and supporting your allies. One other legend is the Lich, being able to do magical damage to people and to be kind of spike-oriented. One idea I had that isn't as possible, but it's just one I decided to throw out, is Bonfaz Burntfur, the char that led the invasion of Ascalon during the pre-searing. This char, well, he led the invasion of the char during post-searing Ascalon, but you kill him in prophecies. I would think it would be interesting to play as this char just to bring some old history of the char, as well as you can play as a sort of more DPS DPS character causing spells from a range. Two other characters I thought of from factions were Urgos, the tree spirit in the Echo Val forest you fight at the end of a dungeon, Urgos Warren, and Kanaxai, a demon in the Jade Sea that made people go insane. So Kanaxai could be a very control DPS-oriented legend, while Urgos could be more, I think, like an ranged unit that is very, like, stationary. I'm not quite sure. I've never fought against Urgos. Just some various ideas I've had for legends. Now, going on to something not Revenant related, in the recent blog post, which... oh, crap. All the information I just recently got for Revenant and some other things are from 3 blog posts, and I'll put them in the description. Okay, we've gotten some new effects with the new blog post from ArenaNet. There's a new condition called Slow, which is kind of a reverse of Quickness, in that it slows your skills and actions, so you cannot cast things as fast, and it's easier to interrupt enemies. Another thing we got was Boon, not boons, was a boon called Resistance. This interrupts the negative effects of conditions, but the article forgot to mention one thing that I think is key to this boon. Does it stop the ticking of a condition when resistance is on? By that I mean, the example it gave was, when fear is applied to you and you gain resistance, you no longer are feared, and you can go on your thing, but once resistance ends, you're feared again. So does that mean fear is still ticking in the background and still its timer is going down while resistance is on? Or, when resistance is on, fear is stopped for a moment, and then it just picks up after resistance ends? Another status effect that is very interesting is called Taunt. Taunt is where you charge the enemy and you only use your auto attack and you cannot control your character. This can be very interesting to make bosses charge you and they can interrupt attacks. Bosses can make your whole party stop your casting and just charge it. But this is definitely going to be a crowd control ability, so Defiance will be in play with this. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was there's current speculation going on right now that the symbol for the Revenant is kind of this eye with a line or a spike going through it. And in my research for the Revenant, when I went back to the PAX East panel, and there was the presentation Colin was doing, this piece of concept art came up on the screen, and it looked like this big eye with a line going through it, and I couldn't really think of any theories to come up with it. Maybe you guys are more creative and you can think of something, but remember, this is concept art, so it may not be that canon to the game. But still, I would love to hear your guys' speculation on what this possibly could be. Yeah, that's all I've been able to come up with for the recent blog posts. If there's any more information on the Revenant, and I can add to my theories, I will do another video. But until then, hit like, subscribe, hit me up on the Twitters, and have a day.